Let me see.
I started, Julia. You're good to go.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So we're good, Julia?
Yes.
Okay, okay. And if anybody can't hear us as we begin, we're starting for a second time. So that last time we tried in this room was just a dress rehearsal. Welcome, everybody. We're thrilled to have you here, whether you're here in this room or whether you're attending via Zoom. We're happy you're here. So we're going to go around this table in this room and introduce ourselves. And then I think I'm going to ask Julia to help us identify who's attending via Zoom. So with that said, would you like to start this time?
Noelle Gaines, Maryville Community Library. Jill Pfeiffer, Fairview Heights Public Library.
Jill Keeler, Greenville Public Library.
Betsy Mahoney, 6 Mile Regional Library District.
Anna Yackel, IHLS.
Good morning, I'm Leslie Vedder from Illinois Heartland Library System.
I'm Ellen Poppett from the Illinois Heartland Library System.
Christy Garish, Glen Carbon Library.
Stacy Bushon, Illinois Heartland Library System.
Pamela Thomas, IHLS.
Sue Hoogie, Millstadt Library.
Mary Cordes, Hayter Library.
Cassandra Thompson, Share Program.
Linda Petty, Illinois Heartland.
Susan Palmer, Illinois Heartland.
Lauren Irwin, Hayter Public.
Okay, Julia, can you tell us who's attending remotely?
Okay, and you know, up front, I will apologize if I get your name wrong. Troy Brown, IHLS. Arlana Fries, IHLS. Brenda Gilpatrick. Diane Yeoman. Don Pippin. Of course, he's with Philo and IHLS. Elaine Morrison Talbot. Esther Curry, Heather Ramsey. Oh, I'm sorry. Heather from Ramsey Public Library. Janet Clare. Gina Dower. Joanne Bauer. And excuse me, I need to click my little button here. Leslie Zavaduk. Pamela Thomas. Well, she's there, but she's also online here. Let's see. We have Robert Brady, Sarah Gentle, Shelley Stone, Sue Pearson, and Teresa Pennington. And
Thanks, Julia.
okay, thanks.
Thank you.
The format of these meetings has typically been some system updates from each of the departments, and then some topics for your information. Today we're going to talk about a lot of the e-resources that are available to you, what the Cataloging Maintenance Center has available, and also the strategic planning town hall meetings that are being conducted by the Illinois Library Association. So we're hoping that Diane Foote from ILA joins us later on this morning. And Julia, when if you see Diane dial in, would you just give us kind of a high sign, because we're going to let her talk whenever she dials in so that she can just come and go as it works for her.
Okay.
That being said, on the agenda, the first update is from the system. So I'm going to let Leslie take that, and then Stacy Bouchon is going to talk a little bit about the fast fax files. Say that 3 times fast that people have received.
Good morning again, and we just had another person join us, and if you just, I know I'm not like putting you on the hot spot, you want to introduce yourself, Jim?
I'm Rebecca Harper. I'm from the SIU East St. Louis Center,
Great.
the Learning Resource Center.
Welcome. So I just have a few things to share with you from the system, and they're all about money. What a surprise! And oh, don't forget to vote if you haven't already. One of our colleagues came in with his I voted sticker on his forehead, so we all know that he took care of that. So we are 1/4 of the way through fiscal year 2019, and we have received a little bit of funding from fiscal year 2019 from from 3 grants. One is the market quality grant. If you're involved in the SHARE program. That's the program that's the software that we use to clean up the databases, and to, when our SHARE catalogers bring in records, that enables them to make sure that the records are in pretty good shape, if not perfect, but they're in pretty good shape for bib records, and that makes everybody happy, including patrons when they're searching. We also received funding for the OCLC billing grant. That's the grant that Illinois Heartland Library System has had for, well, since we've been Illinois Heartland Library System, so this will be our 8th year. And so we do billing on behalf of the Illinois State Library to libraries across the state that use OCLC for cataloging and/or interlibrary loan. So that's been fully funded. And again, we've received a little bit of money toward the FY19 System Area Per Capita Grant. We are still awaiting a little more than $300,000 for the fiscal 18 System Area Per Capita Grant. But don't worry, I don't think that the fiscal 18 year has been closed by the state yet. So, and we're not worried about that either. We're confident it will show up, and then the rest of the fiscal 19 money will start to arrive as well. Other than that, we are working toward addressing other items in our system plan of service, or annual plan, operational plan, I'm sorry. And we will share more about that with all of you as soon as we get to our next milestone.
And I'm so sorry. Any questions for Leslie?
We're all caught up.
And one thing I do want to share with everybody, because it seems like we have a very nice turnout here today and a very nice participation remotely. Please ask questions or share your opinions or thoughts as we go along, because what we've always wanted this to be is an event that's as interactive as possible. So with that, Sandra, Stacy's going to talk about the Fast Facts file that many of you have received.
Hi.
So they can see you.
Sure. Hi, this is Stacy from IHLS, and I'm just gonna give you a little overview of the Fast Facts member packet folders that you may have already received or you will be receiving soon. We put these together in an effort to help libraries and library staff have a little bit better understanding of what it is that we do here at IHLS and how we service libraries and what our role is. And you would find in your left pocket, you'll find a signed letter from our board president, Sarah Dumwalt. It's kind of a welcome and kind of an explanation of what we have going on. There's a who to contact list so that you will know which IHLS staff member you need to contact for anything from board information to cataloging services to, oh goodness, what do we have here? Lots of stuff. All the way down to scheduling meeting rooms or OCLC. You'll also have a mark your calendar, which gives you important upcoming dates throughout the fiscal year for things like different meetings, board meetings, networking events, and some of the conferences that some of you will attend. There's also a board member contact info sheet. It has the contact information for all your board members, so if you need to speak with someone or share some thoughts or ideas or concerns, you can contact any of them at any time. And then we have the ever so popular acronyms. What does that mean? I've been here for 7 years and I still don't understand them all, so it's nice to have that little sheet to follow. And then we have on the right pocket, we have our Fast Facts infographic, which gives you some basic information about IHLS, how many libraries we have, how many miles we cover, how many items we deliver. And then we have our window cling, proud member of IHLS window cling. And we really encourage you and ask you to put those up at your libraries. If you need more because you have several locations, just give Anna a call or an email, and we'd be happy to send more of them to you. And we have our man in tunnel brochure, as we call it, with more information about IHLS and what we do. And a few more infographics to kind of help you to understand our delivery, the SHARE program, and some information on awareness to funding, and also on cataloging services. Excuse me. So we hope you find it helpful, and we do appreciate your feedback as well. If there's something more that you would like to see in these, or any kind of feedback, we want to be able to help you and your staff to understand what we do and how we can help and how they can reach out to us and that they have any needs.
Have all of you received them?
I have my window cleaned up.
All right. All right. Joe, you haven't gotten one yet? How about the people attending remotely? Have you received them? You can nod your heads. Ellen? Yeah.
Is there any way do you have extras of these that we can take with us for our board members, our library board members?
I think Stacy knows more about the supply.
We can get you some. Okay. We don't have any pre-made, but we can certainly get you some. If you let us know how many you need, that won't be a problem.
Okay, thanks.
And we would love to do that. So we'll do them as the demand presents.
Absolutely.
And if it's a great way to educate your board members, we're happy to do that. Anna and I will take them when we do site visits to new directors, in addition to what we already take them. So we're happy to do that.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any other questions?
No, I just wanted to say, and online, Teresa Pennington and Bobby Perryman have said that they've received theirs.
If you don't receive yours in the next week or so, just contact Anna. But they should be coming via delivery for schools. I believe some of them went through delivery and some of them went through the post office, so those might take a little bit longer.
Okay. Thanks, Stacy. Cassandra, would you like to give us some share updates?
Yes, happy to. Well, I'm happy to report that our membership vote has concluded, and we had 196 people or member libraries vote. All of the 6 proposed policies did go through, so thank you everyone who took the time to complete that vote. We really appreciate it. We also have some new resources for you that I'd like to show you, and if you don't mind, I'm going to take over the screen for just one moment. So this is our, oh, it's not up yet. Here we go. So this is our new tool. It is a patron cell phone service provider lookup. So if you have patrons that have one of those pay-as-you-go or the no contract plans, our IT department put this together to help us determine what provider it is so they can receive those text alerts. Does anybody want to volunteer to put their number in and get a text message quickly?
Sure. 618-567-4459.
And you agree to be sent text?
Yes.
Oh. That was my fault. I've had it up too long, I think. Give me just a moment. Try that again. There we go. So you should receive a text message here in just a moment telling you who your service provider is.
Yes, it is correct.
Okay,
that's really neat.
So yeah, it is a really a handy tool. You may not need it all of that often, but when you do, it's right there. So our IT department has recommended that you just bookmark that page for easy access for your staff. The next just item of business I wanted to share with you is just a change.
You know what, I will say one thing. I'll just read you what it says because maybe that is helpful. It says, please let the librarian know that your provider is, and then it says what it is. So in theory, the person will be directed to do what they need to do next to tell you what's on the phone instead of you having to, well, let me say it.
Thank you so much, Jill. I appreciate that. The next is just a change. So the RB Digital changed from just the magazines to now including the e-audio, and that was through their purchase of One Click Digital. Because of that, they've changed their URL from illinoisheartland.oneclickdigital.com, so now it is illinoisheartland.rbdigital.com, and they do recommend that you put that in with an HTTPS. But if you have the old link on your website, that's going to start to be retired as of February of 2019. So please make sure your technology department, or if you run your website, to make sure that that is up to date. The last thing I have for you is a new item on our website that we're still kind of testing this out. So if you have anything that you think that should be added, if you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear it. If you come down here to members, now you all know about the vendor discounts page on our member site. We have a new item, resources for libraries. And so these are free or no cost resources for some of our libraries here in Illinois. And so it's national and local. So for instance, we've got Every Library, which of course is a national program, but it is based here in Illinois. We've got resources to the Hotsy Trust Digital Library, which has, it's what I know them for especially is magazines up to the 1922, or if it's 23 now, copyright date. We've got the Internet Archive, Illinois Library Association, Illinois State Library and Archives. So TechSoup, Web Junction, so anything that you think that you might need or you don't even know that you need. We've got them all here at one location, including, and this again from the SHARE program, is the I'll Share It site that the IT department has developed for you, so patrons can actually determine where their closest library, SHARE library is. So these are all right here at your fingertips. If you have something that it looks like that we have missed, please let us know. We'd love to add it. Anything that's going to be added to this page will go out in a newsletter. So if we become aware of resources, as you become aware of resources, please let us know and we'll send it out to all of our members. Does anybody have any questions for me? Okay.
Susan, you want to come up and take the hot seat?
Oh, gosh, there is nothing like a hot seat to start your day off right. And I'm actually going to be brief. I know that's probably everybody's going to say, really? Anyway, delivery, it's kind of just business as usual. Things have been flowing fairly well. Hopefully that, and if it's not happening at your library, let us know, let me know. The access to 5-day-a-week service, I feel like we're getting that more into a groove. So that's wonderful. We've met with Rails, the state library, ourselves. We're just looking over the ILDS contract, which again, the ILDS contract is how we get items north and south, as well as we have service to 141 or 132, I can't remember which number it is, Carly members. Which are all academic members. So we're just looking at that, and we'll have a new contract that will begin this next July. I think there's some positive things happening. Then also, I guess I have a quick reminder that we do run on Veterans Day, and that's coming up. So if you do not want us to show up at your library, just let us know. There is a form on the website that you fill out for delivery, no delivery form, versus I know. There's like so many of these no share, right? Is that what it is? This is a share calendar where you can put your dates that you're closed. So this is just specifically the delivery, no delivery, do not come. So that just helps us. Does anybody have any, see how brief that was? Does anybody have any questions for me?
Will there be delivery on the Friday after Thanksgiving?
No.
Okay.
That would be a no. I panicked for a moment because
Then I don't need to do that.
it's done at the Northern Library System, the other one, Rails, they do that day after, but we don't. So that's one of those agreed days that we would be not delivering.
So am I correct, the 2 days that we deliver that are typical federal holidays would be Veterans Day, the holiday for Veterans Day, and President's Day, right?
President's Day.
And all
Those
the other
two.
federal ones, and the day after Thanksgiving were closed.
Correct.
New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, right?
Yes, and we're looking forward to those holidays.
Yes, we are. Any questions for Susan about delivery or any comments? Okay. Well, thank you very much. Anna and I can update you on membership. I have to tell you, it's lovely having a partner in crime to deal with membership issues, because what it means the most to me is that we can get out and be with you kind of double the amount of time that one person was able to be. So that's huge from where I stand. And the other thing is Anna brings some expertise, particularly with working with boards, that is just wonderful for us to have on staff. So I can give you a couple updates, and I'm going to ask Anna to talk about our roadside training program when I'm done. Typically at these meetings, the state library participates and gives us a little state library update. They're closed today because it's election day. So we don't have one of those coming forward today. But the biggest thing all of you need to know that are public library affiliated is that the per capita grant is up and running. So for those of you who've been waiting to see it online for so long, it's up. And if you have any questions at all, Jeannie Urbanik at the State Library would love to help you. Anna and I will help you as best we can. And Anna has some information from, was it Teresa Tyner at Danville?
Oh, yes.
She has, that we will send you some related websites for the required board training that needs to happen. So we'll push that information out to all of you. These are due January 15th, and this is one program for which it is a drop-dead deadline. There is no forgiveness beyond January 15th. So whatever we can do to make that process easier for you, we're happy to do that. And I do believe Jeannie Urbanik at the State Library is going to participate in our director's chat tomorrow, so that she will be there online to answer any questions you might have. So if you haven't looked at it yet, the thing to do is go home or stay at your desks and give it a quick look over, and then be prepared with questions for Jeannie tomorrow. She'd love to talk to you about them.
Can I mention one thing about that?
Yeah.
And I realize, right, and I realize that you two have just gotten together and are starting to work together, but in terms of things like the video and stuff like that, it might be more helpful to have suggestions of ones to watch maybe a couple months ago. Because, like, for example, my board doesn't meet in December. So if I don't have this all wrapped up by the November meeting, then, you know, I can't meet the requirements.
This list that Teresa came up with, she did share with the director's list.
Right. I'm done with it, and I finished it months and months ago.
So
I'm
it's
just
the same list that she shared already, we'll be sharing again.
Yeah, cool, good. I just wanted to make sure you
No,
remembered, like, some boards don't meet in
And
December.
next year we will take that to heart and try to do better, getting stuff out early.
You didn't do bad. I know this has all just come together recently.
Anna and I are attending as many networking meetings as we can, and our plan is to alternate. So if Anna goes to a MEPL meeting 1 month, I'll go the next month. So both of us have the opportunity to get out and see as many people as we can. It's fun for us, and then we don't miss being with any of you on any occasion, and it's good input for us to have. So if you're having a networking meeting and you'd like someone there, please let us know. I mean, we're more than happy to be there, and we're both pretty flexible as far as geography and schedules and all that kind of stuff. So never hesitate to pick up the phone and ask somebody to be there. We're more than happy to do that. The infographic in your Fast Facts file, your Fast Facts folder, you know, I don't know why we do this. We do Members Matter meetings, Fast Facts folders, you know, any kind of thing to trip up the language anyway. The infographic that gives the number of libraries that we serve says 520 plus. And that's because that number is always pretty fluid. We happily add new members throughout the year. Sometimes members are suspended, but the plus in this case we included because we knew we were getting a new member. And I believe at the November board meeting, our board will be presented with a membership application from the Potomac Public Library District. And this is a library that is east of Rantoul, It had lost system membership years and years ago, and they were going down fast. The city wasn't giving them money, people weren't coming in, and people were saying, well, we're not coming in because you don't have anything, and as the city funded them less and less, it was just, they were kind of sliding down the tube. They started to work with John Kraska's group, Every Library. They put together a very well-organized campaign to go district last year. Joanne Bauer and I were at one of their town hall meetings, and they successfully passed a referendum in the spring to go district. And so they filed an annual report a couple months ago, and they're ready for system membership. So this is a really happy story, and also a real credit to them as far as being a small community that organized because they wanted a library they could support. So that's very good news, and we're looking forward to having them within the system. So Anna, you want to talk about our first roadside training and what's coming down the pike?
Sure. We had a wonderful first session for the roadside training at Granite City, which was very nice. It was about homelessness. It was a day long, or you could go for the morning or you could go all day, and it had wonderful information. And it was interesting because you could use the same techniques that they use in dealing with homeless people with issues and problems with your family. So it was all around beneficial. It was just great, very useful, and it gave us, I think everyone who went got a lot out of it. Now we have an event coming up in February, and I would like Esther to unmute if you can and talk about that, since she's the one who's organizing that one.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, this one is in February. I believe it's the 27th. I don't have my calendar, from 1 to 4, and it will be available via Zoom, and it's going to be presented by Kathy Overstreet, who developed the library technician program at Kaskaskia College in Centralia. And she's still, even though she's retired, is still teaching with that program. And so it's going to be focused on Librarian 101, Librarianship 101. You know, what do you need to know, how to deal with a board, some of those basic things. Really we're kind of hitting opposite ends of the poles with the roadside training. You know, you get into the real heavy duty stuff, and then you get into some real basic, you know, foundational stuff, especially with our smaller libraries with just one person running it, that sort of thing. They may not have any library background sometimes, so this kind of covers those basic librarian guidelines and things that you would pick up when you do classes. So it's just kind of covering all those bases. And what's nice about this, she'll also give a little plug for the program at Kaskaskia. If you're not familiar with it, you should definitely take a look at it. I've got 2 of my staff doing it. You can either get a certificate for the librarian tech or an associate's degree. And it's based on the ALA guidelines. And it's been a really good program, and I've got 2 staff that are going through it right now, and they're really learning a lot. So, so she's going to talk about that a little bit. And again, it will be over Zoom, and we will have a recording. So if you can't make it at that time, it will be available to be viewed at any time once we figure out where those kind of things are going to be posted and hosted at. Hopefully, maybe on the IHLS training, kind of like the Share Bib Services training platform. Moodle, is that what it is? So so I think it's going to be good. We kind of timed it for that February time, so that if anyone is interested in staff or themselves attending or participating in the program at Kaskaskia, that falls in line with registration times, so that, you know, we hate to tell you something really great and then go, oh, you got to wait, 5 months to do anything about it. But even though you may not be in Kaskaskia's area, we're not. We are actually in the Rend Lake area, but because it's not offered at Rend Lake, our staff can take it over there, so it'd be the same. It's all online. Well, I say that it's all online, but so that's kind of what that training is going to kind of pair those two together and kind of introduce that, and then cover the information for librarians who work on their own primarily. So.
Esther?
Yes.
Holly is asking, what is the title of that? Definitely interested in signing up for it.
I think as far as the training, or is it the program at Kaskaskia? Because the training is just going to be Librarianship 101. I don't think we have it on L2 yet. I was going to email Ellen about that sometime this week, in fact, because we don't have a full description yet. But with the Kaskaskia program, I always just Google Kaskaskia library tech, and that usually comes up because they've revamped their website, so it's really hard to find anything. So
we can send that out to all of you as a follow-up too. We can send you those links and we can get it up on L2 pretty quickly. Esther, do you want to talk a little bit about the roadside training for anybody who's not aware?
Sure. There were four, basically, well, three, and then they included me, librarians that we've had concerns because of money problems. You know, staff at the system haven't been able to do the training like we used to be able to participate with. And so Rails has a program, and I'm drawing a blank on it. I got Tech Atlas, and I'm not sure if that's exactly the right one. But they basically started working with their own libraries in creating a training program. And so we all kind of got together and said, yeah, this is something we could do. And so that was the kind of the start of the discussion. And then, so that's the Roadside Training name kind of just, you know, came from a kind of a joke about Diana at Carbondale likes to rescue toys from the side of the road. And so we were kind of comparing that, you know, we're having to kind of just grab things as we go and catch things as we go along. And, you know, that's where the roadside training, we just catch it, you know, provide it and offer it out there for whoever's passing by that needs it. And so the goal is to have about 4 trainings per year. We are charging a small fee. The system, IHLS, is managing the funding for that. I mean, it all goes to they're going to handle, they have a special account and everything. But our goal is to, even for smaller trainings like the Librarianship 101, Kathy is not charging us anything, but the money that we collect for fees for that will go toward being able to get the bigger ones that we would have to pay a fee to get. So we're trying to kind of balance out to do is some free training as far as cost for the roadside training program, but then being able to pay for some bigger names and bigger programs when we need to, like the working with the homeless program, that one that started. So we're kind of doing bigger, smaller, you know, kind of trying to fit the needs. We're going to do some on mock board meeting type training, that sort of thing. And, you know, just, and we're always open for suggestions if people have ideas of things that we might need to do a training on.
And we're also interested in anyone who would like to join the committee. You know, that's always welcome too. So you can contact me, or you can contact Esther or Diana or
Amanda at Effingham, and yeah,
Tina
at 6 Mile.
Tina, that's That's who I was blanking on, is Tina. And, you know, so many of us are more than happy to hear your ideas, or if you want to join in helping plan and run programs, please let us know. I think this is a wonderful opportunity. I know we all complain that there's not a lot of continuing education opportunities, so this is our effort to try to make that happen for us again.
Any questions about the roadside training program or about membership services? Comments? Any comments or questions about system services in general? Because we're going to move on to the next part of our program, but I want to make sure that everybody's, if there's a concern on anybody's mind or a comment, we'd love to hear it. Really?
I'm not seeing any online.
Okay. Okay, then we're going to move back to our good friends from the CMC and e-resources, and I will let you handle this, ladies, however you like.
Well, we're having a technology glitch here for just a second.
Okay.
So we will be with.
Well, I can also say, as far as membership and visits, you know, if you'd like Ellen and I to pay a visit to you, or to attend one of your board meetings, we're always open for that too. So just contact us. We love being on the road.
Seeing lots of central and southern Illinois.
Told you.
And I can say I'm really getting to enjoy knowing all of you. I've gone to quite a few networking groups now and all the different conferences, and it's like now I know the faces. I may not know all of your names, but I'm getting there. And so I enjoy that, and I want to thank all of you for putting up with me when I look at you blankly. So.
Okay. This is Pam Thomas from IHLS again. I'm going to talk to you about the Cataloging Maintenance Center, and bear with me while I'm flipping papers. Okay. Do I just...
I would hit the down arrow or the...
Okay, sorry, using somebody else's computer. Okay, so funding for the CMC is provided through the Illinois State Library and the Secretary of State from revenue appropriated by the Illinois General Assembly. So the CMC provides service to the libraries in Illinois. Okay, Sherry Schuler Faust is one of our catalogers, and there's her picture. She's been with the CMC since, or with the Illinois Library System since 2008, and she works out of the Edwardsville office. So she will answer questions about original cataloging of genealogy, local history, local authors, and special collections. She also enjoys relaxing at the end of the day with her husband Fred, her 85-pound Great Dane Pit Bull mix, and a nice glass of Pinot Grigio. And when she retires, she hopes to travel, go to plays, and watch lots of movies. And this is Ian Anderson. He is our youngest member of the CMC. And he coaches baseball for a local high school. He's the only Cardinal fan in the Champaign office, so he gets picked on. He started working at IHLS on March 30th, 2015, and he has previous experience at Champaign Public Library and University of Illinois Archives. And he's out of Champaign, sorry. And Vince is out of Edwardsville. Sorry, Vince Andrzejewski, hope I got that right. He's had a lifelong career in libraries and performed many duties from preschool story hour to audiovisual selection to his current duties as a cataloger. Hobbies include bowling, travel, trains, music, and taking care of a feral cat community in his neighborhood. And that's me. And just realized that this slide had a much smaller picture of me until it went through a committee process, and then somehow make my really large. So thank you, Communications Committee. I used to be the metadata cataloger, and now I'm the bibliographic project coordinator. And I too started in March of 2015, so Ian and I started the same month and year. I've been working on digitized immigration records from a collection owned by SIUE, as well as providing RDA and cataloging training. So you can ask me questions about metadata for the state of Illinois. And I'm old, so I worked at public, special, and academic libraries. I have two sons, Nathan 20 and Jackson 17, because I like to share too much about myself. I feel like I do. And I like to spend time playing with my rather naughty 120-pound dog, Dewey, who's a Black Lab St. Bernard mix.
Wow.
Yeah, she's a handful. Walking, reading, watching Netflix, and I have a serious audiobook addiction, which I probably need some counseling with. I do. Okay, so now that you've met all of us, how do you find us? We've got a website. I'm not going to read the address. We have a postcard, and we've got email. Sorry, now I have to catch up with my papers because, you know, I can't see my notes. Okay. So on the IHLS website, you can find the CMC listed on there. It talks about our mission, what kinds of materials we catalog, the services we provide. We also have a promotional card that we created recently that's linked on the page. So that's pretty exciting for us. You can email us at any time. We respond very quickly. If you have questions about cataloging, whether they're general or specific, don't be afraid to ask. And if we don't know the answer, we'll find it out for you. We've answered all types of questions, determining whether a collection or a particular item fits the parameters of the CMC, questions about RDA, providing classification numbers, which I got to answer that one recently. It was about LC classification, and I was probably a little too excited about that than I should have been, but I was. And we also provide assistance with filling out digital grant applications. Okay, and I'm going to show you the promotional card. So this is the front of our postcard. It just has cataloging maintenance center. And then on the bottom it says original copy cataloging, training and assistance, metadata consultation. So that's what we do. And then here's the back of the card. It goes into a little more depth of what we provide, free original and copy cataloging of eligible special collections. Eligible is the key word there. Assistance with general cataloging and RDA questions, contribute name authority records to the Library of Congress, consultation on metadata projects, cataloging training, and then database cleanup. And then it gives all of our contact information there as well. Okay, so what is the mission? The mission of the Illinois Cataloging Maintenance Center is to provide cataloging support to libraries that are system members. So the CMC provides service to libraries in Illinois. That is our mission. Okay, so the services. We do cleanup for Share, Prairie Cat, Magic, RSA, NFP, and SWAN databases. We do original copy cataloging, again, of the eligible special collections, assistance with questions about cataloging under both AACR2 and RDA, because not all libraries in the state of Illinois are using RDA guidelines at this time. It's also good to have an understanding of the AACR2 rules as well. We have to contribute at least 100 name authority records. So, you know, if you have any new local authors that we can create those new authority records for, that helps too. We provide assistance with cataloging training for members of Illinois libraries, and we support access to digitalized information found in Illinois libraries, especially the Illinois Digital Archives website. So some of the stuff that I have cataloged is on IDA, which is pretty exciting. The most used and well-liked service is original cataloging of materials. Many of the small public libraries in Illinois do not have staff expertise to catalog materials and rely on the CMC to provide that service. We've recently added training as a service and have completed face-to-face and online training events to Rails and IHLS members. Moodle courses on RDA, book and video and sound recording are being created and will be available soon. Sorry, that's my bad for it not being ready, but hopefully it will be ready soon. Okay, so what do we actually do? We catalog library special collections, local authors, local history, and genealogy. So basically the same as the share cataloging staff, but for different clients. So while share catalogs new books, the CMC tends to receive local authors, local history, and genealogy materials. Special collections can include many different things: Superman items, Abraham Lincoln materials, or local government documents. We see many yearbooks, cookbooks, and family trees. Some libraries are afraid of sending items in for cataloging because they could be damaged, but extra care is taken for these items. And CMC catalogers can do on-site cataloging if your items really are fragile. So don't be afraid to send those in. Am I talking too fast? Okay, I've got a lot to cover. Okay, sorry. I know. Oh, didn't go. Oh, sorry, it was doing, sorry, so we do cleanup and authority work and training. Okay, so here is a screenshot of a genealogy book that the CMC's cataloged. It's called The Family Book, Julius Ludwig Soldorf Descendants. And this was cataloged by the CMC in 2018. So if you have an item, this is what your MARC record would look like. This is 288 leaves, and it was in a 3-ring binder. So, and it's about Illinois genealogy and Cook County and German genealogy. Okay, so for cleanup, we do database cleanup, we upgrade records, we add OCLC system numbers to bibliographic records, and we update bibliographic records from AACR2 to RDA guidelines. So the CMC provides cleanup of databases for all Illinois system member libraries. New libraries are added to library systems, Rails, IHLS, and the Chicago Library System continually. And when a new library's database is added, usually there is some cleanup involved. Some bibliographic records are rejected and need to be added. Some records might not display correctly in the new system, or sometimes duplicate records are loaded and those need to be reconciled, as I'm sure you are all aware. Okay, so this is a search for Rochester Women's Club. So we're talking about authority work here, which can take time. So you need to create a standardized entry for the creator or group, in this case, Rochester Women's Club, Rochester, Sangamon County, Illinois. So why is this important? To make sure you get the right Rochester Women's Club. Since there are Rochesters in Illinois, Minnesota, and New York, differentiation is important. The CMC is part of the Name Authority Cooperative Program, or NACO, and we contribute at least 100 name authority records a year to the Library of Congress files so that other libraries can use them. So you don't want to find the wrong entry, and neither do your patrons. All right, so online with the CMC. This fall we started offering these online sessions or webinars. We try to do like a 15 to 20 minute presentation on the topic and then open it up for discussion and questions with the people. These are on Zoom, so everything's virtual. We would like a little more questions from the people attending, and I think we're starting to get there. But so far we've offered weeding, it's a date, publication copyright date, and then Smarter and Faster OCLC macros. And then next Thursday, we're going to be doing added titles. And then in December, we're going to do MARC fixed fields. And then in January, we're going to do the future of cataloging. We plan on offering more probably sometime in the spring. And if any of you guys are catalogers, if you've got some hot topics that you want us to cover, then please share those with us. Or if you have catalogers in your library, please ask them what else we could offer. So these were inspired by the OCLC's virtual Ask QC sessions. So we basically copied from them. Here we are. Okay, so let's look to see what we've been doing in FY19. We've cataloged newspapers on microfilm, local history, local authors, foreign language materials, special collections, kits, and of course training. So let's look at a few examples of these. So here's an example of an Illinois newspaper. This one looks like it was really fun to catalog. As you see, the title is Miscellaneous Newspapers. So it's from the Illinois State Historical Library. So evidently there wasn't, and this is microfilm, there wasn't a lot of information to create this record. But it just tells you this collection of various Illinois Centennial newspapers for various states between 1841 and 1959. So these are pretty old. The cities covered were towns including Effingham, Flora, Galva, Galesburg, Hamilton, and Harvard. All the towns were from E through H, which was interesting. So they must have had it organized alphabetically on the microphone. Okay, here is Wyatt Earp Birthplace Museum, which I did not know existed. It's in Monmouth, Illinois, and they created this video disc about the museum. And it uses a slideshow method with music showcasing the museum. So the Monmouth Library asked us to catalog this for them. So this was Wyatt Earp's birth home, and it's on the National Register of Historic Places. So that's pretty exciting, I think.
Hey, they do like reenactments there,
Yeah.
you know, of the.
It's a cool place.
It is.
And I never knew about it, so now I need to go. Okay, another item that we cataloged was Edwards Trace. How did Edwards Trace influence the eventual settlement of Central Illinois? This was a book, and it's about the trails in Illinois. So this was owned, or is owned by the Lincoln Public Library District, and I didn't know what Edwards Trace was either. So I looked that up. It's actually an overland trail that served the frontier region that became Central Illinois. The trail is usually described as extending from Cahokia in the south to Peoria in the north. And during the 1810s and 20s, the trace played a decisive role in the settlement of Central Illinois by Euro-Americans. So pretty cool. Okay, here's another item that we cataloged, FY19. It's Pause and Ponder. This Rita Burrows is the author and photographer. She's a local author and photographer. It's a book of inspirational quotes and photography from her travels, which are combined to give the reader pause for thought. Galva Public Library District owns this book, and they asked us to catalog it for them. So we did.
Was that self-published?
I believe, yes, because she's the publisher, so
Okay.
yes, ma'am. Good question, though.
Thank you.
Okay, here's another local author. This is Willard's Memoirs. It's called Willard's Memoirs, Listen to Me. It's a 121-page book that was published this year. And it's the autobiography of Willard R. Larson, who was born in Kewanee, grew up in Galva, and then later moved to Lee Summit, Missouri. But because he spent so much time in Illinois, he is considered a local author. He got a degree in agriculture and worked in the agriculture field as an advisor, district manager, plant manager, and owner of the Galva fertilizer plant. So again, Galva Public Library District bought or had this as a donation and asked us to catalog it for them. Okay, here, this was an interesting one. It's called Freeport as It Was in My Boyhood Days. It's a 3-volume handwritten set. So Leslie Thomas Farger handwrote his reminiscence of growing up in Freeport, Illinois. And as you can see, he was born in 1876 and died in 1979. So that was fun. Because handwriting is always fun to look at. Okay, here's another example. This one's Collisions. The Mount Prospect Public Library had some Bulgarian language books donated and asked us if we would catalog them for them. So with some magic and Google Translator and Lexi logos for the keyboard, Sherry was able to do that. And she said it really wasn't as hard as she thought it was going to be. The library also provided a translation for information in the bib record, so that helped verify the accuracy. So yeah, I'm not going to read any of the Bulgarian for you. But that's just another thing that we will do if you have European language materials. We will do our best to catalog. Okay, this one is China. This one was not cataloged in FY19, but one of our catalogers was pretty proud of this one. So it was in Chinese, and it also shows the detail level that some items require. There's quite a bit of detail in this record. And it's owned by Messenger Public Library of North Aurora. So it's a 143-page book, and it's a pictorial overview of China, including industries, customs, and the arts.
And Spanish and English and Chinese.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So that was the fun part of cataloging it. Okay, so this was Augustus and his Smile. Forsyth Public Library purchased a collection of talking pen books, and they asked us if we would be able to catalog them for them, and we said yes. So I didn't know what a talking pen book was, so now you know I have lots of blank in my brain, so I had to look that up. So when you point the talking pen at a character in the book, dialogue comes out. You point it at an item and you will hear sound effects. You have big words your child can't recognize. The talking pen reads out all the descriptions for your child. A sense of control is key to the child development. Our talking books enhance control as your child chooses their pace of learning. They can fully understand the content without being limited to their reading ability. And that's from the Talking Pen website, and I thought that was pretty cool. So this is about Augustus the tiger. He lost his smile, so he did a stretch and set off to find it. And this is also another example of a talking pen book. This one is in Spanish and English. It's Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I don't love the cover art, but no one asked me. But again, just a cool collection. And we also do kits. So American Girl Kaya, she is in an authentic 1764 Nez Perce outfit. If you look down at the description, you can see that there's a doll, paperback book, a leather journal, 4-power dress of today, including fringe dress and hairbrush. It comes in a carrying case on wheels, including pillow and sleeping bag with 3 laminated pages. So pretty cool. I kind of wish that I was a young girl and we could check that out.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Because we all some of us have some of these dolls, and like I have a Kaya doll that may not be in a case with wheels.
Right.
But essentially, like we have essentially
Sure.
the same thing. Like, do I have to bring in a whole new record? I mean, we already have a record in, so I don't know.
Yeah, it would have to be separate if it doesn't have all of this on there. Yeah.
It's kind of unfortunate.
I know.
Because it makes it confusing.
I know. It does.
They're just looking for a Kaya doll.
Can I ask a question?
They're not going to read that big record. They're never going to read it.
How many items can you send in a year?
In a year? Okay, it's Ian and Sharon Bits that are doing it. So what they like is if you send a box at a time.
A box?
Yeah, I mean, if you have more than one box, that's fine.
Okay.
But just send us an email and tell us what you have and what you're thinking about sending, and we can manage it from there.
And is it always circulating then, the items? Or is it some of it non-circ?
They might just circ in the library itself.
Inside
Do you know what I
our
mean?
own library?
Right,
Okay.
right, and that's okay. Is that what you're asking?
Mhm.
Yeah. Because some people like puzzles and kits, they don't like interlibrary loaning it, but they will circulate it inside the library,
Okay.
So Kaya was purchased by the Marshall Public Library. They have a collection of these and asked us to catalog them. Okay. This is another kit purchased by Marshall Public Library. This one really sounds cool. It's Biggie Pac. Biggie Pac, yes. So you can, young architects can learn about spatial reasoning and building. Makes me wish I was a little kid. So, these are really useful kits for kids to check out. Yeah, makes me sad I'm not young. Okay, so we're gonna move on to training.
There's a wasp in here just in case somebody's allergic.
Oh, that's creepy. So, I did 2 Rails webinars on Ferber and WEMI, and I'll let you read those descriptions if you're interested. But part of the thing is, yes, that we are here for all Illinois libraries. So I usually try to do at least 2 trainings for Rails every year. So I did mine in August, so I can start working on what I'm going to do next year. Okay. Metadata. So when I first started working for IFLS, I was a metadata cataloger, which I was just working with digitized images, basically. And it's through the Illinois State Library, so everything needs to go on the Illinois Digital Archives website. But I had 4 collections that I was working with, Chicago Botanic Gardens, which had over 7,000 pages, Illinois State Archives Prison Records, which had Alton, Menard, and Joliet prisons, and that was about 5,000 pages. That is supposedly being finished by the Illinois State Library. I'll let you guys check on that. Meadville Lombard Theological Seminary Libraries collection. They had 3 sub-collections. They had Dr. Preston Bradley's audio sermons, which was 91 hours of recordings, and that was transcribed by an outside source. And then handwritten and typed documents from the World's Columbian Fair, that was almost 6,000 pages. And then handwritten and typed Lombard College documents, which was about 2,000 pages. So they had about 8,000 pages of stuff to transcribe and upload. So in IHLS world, digital collections are metadata, even though metadata in other places might just be cataloging. So our job description calls for understanding of working with digital collections and non-traditional library collections. So what do we see? Well, for the Chicago Botanic Gardens collection, I got to see lots of pictures of flowers. This is an image of an epidendrum from Descriptions Organgenera 1880 to 1908. And there's a link if you want to look that up. They had some wonderful images of hand-colored drawings, not that they were all hand-colored, but some were black and white. And these would be unavailable if they were not digitized. It was one of my favorite ones to work with, even though I didn't know any of the Latin names, but I learned some of them. This is a really cool document from the SIUE collection. They've got naturalization records. And this was the best collection. It was one of I think the last one, so the earliest. So there were pictures of the people that were applying for naturalization. Sadly, I didn't get to work with that one. It just makes it more personal, and I get a little too involved in people's lives who've been dead for a long time. But this is Eunice Drew. She was a 19-year-old nursing student. She immigrated from Great Britain to the United States, and she applied for naturalization on 11/28/1942. Now, I'm sure this was probably a current picture of Eunice because she was only 19, but there were some people who were older that were applying that had pictures that looked about the same age as Eunice in this picture. So some of their pictures were not as current as others, but these are pretty cool documents to work with. I'm getting close to being done, I promise. Okay, so the Lombard collection, we had items from the World's Columbian Exposition, which was held in Chicago in 1893. And so all the buildings that they built for the exposition, they had these drawings of them. So this was the electrical building for the World's Columbian Exposition held in 1893. And there's the page if you want to look that up. And I can probably find the link for you too if you want. Oh, okay. So we also got to work with some prison records, which, sorry, were my favorite. So weird, I know. It was just very interesting to me to see how they describe the prisoners. So of course, they give you the person's name. I included this one because he had an alias. So his name was Hamilton Nation, but his alias was Hamilton Owen. And his crime was larceny. His term was 1.5 years. The sheriff brought him in October 14th of 1847. And they give you the physical description. So he's 5'8", he was 20 years old, he didn't have any scars, he had light complexion, hazel eyes, bro hair, I'm assuming was brown. They used some weird abbreviations. But they tell that he was born in Kentucky, but his parents are living in Menard County, Illinois. He wasn't married. He was a member of the Temperance Society. He could read and write. He never drank to excess, and his occupation was a tailor, and he said he was guilty. And then they described the clothing that he came wearing with coat, pants, shirt, shoes, cap. Oops, uh-oh. I think your battery just died.
Oh, no. Sorry, I can go.
Do you think,
I have it.
do you think mine would, does mine work? No.
That's right, Jill. My job is never done.
Oh, love it.
Yeah.
I say pieces, not leave pieces there, just let him do it. Don't aggravate him.
That's my boss.
Well, if y'all
Speaking
got out
on
of
the
here when I
allergic
could.
person.
Sorry, we're having technical difficulties. We'll be with you in just a second.
Do I have to turn it back on?
Yeah.
Anderson Pest up here looking for that. They didn't see me. Who's hiding?
We're having the best day ever.
I've already got to bring the USB drive.
Wow, I'm back up.
Well, there's nowhere for it to go, but those have a cover up there.
And it's in my email.
Julia, have we heard from Diane yet?
I have not seen her online yet.
Okay.
She's here.
Yeah. Okay,
All right,
good. Great.
to log in.
Hi, everybody. I'm here. I'm masquerading as Cindy Robinson in the Zoom account, apparently. I'm here.
Cassandra, would you like Diane to go ahead? Or,
I'm almost done. I think I just
okay.
have.
Okay, Diane, if you can
I'm
give us a
totally
couple
flexible.
minutes. and
She's
we'll
fine.
switch to
Totally
you.
flexible.
Okay. All right, so he was discharged in 1849 from expiration of sentence, and then it gives the, I love the name of the warden, S.A. Buckmaster. And the warden was B.F. Sargent, which I also thought was interesting. Am I doing something wrong?
No, we're just not on the share screen again. Okay, kick this off. Here's Zoom. I'm sorry, I have to go down because I don't see it.
That's okay.
I might have gotten completely kicked out of Zoom. I would just say go ahead and go even with the presentation.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. Sorry, you can't see my screen. And then the last one was just another prison record that we did. That's fine. And then just our contact information. So illinoisheartland.org/CMC or cmc@illinoisheartland.org or 618-656-3216 extension 503.
Yay! Any questions for Pam about the CMC and what services they offer as they would pertain to any of your libraries? Any anecdotal information? Oh, go ahead, Julia.
There's not any questions online.
Okay.
Well, you know who to go to. And any of them will be happy to answer any of your questions. So we're going to switch to Diane Foote. Diane is the Executive Director of the Illinois Library Association, and I asked her to be the spokesperson for an initiative ILA is launching through the state in November. So I will turn it over to you, Diane.
Thanks so much, Ellen. I really appreciate you guys inviting me to do this and give some. I'm going to share a screen in a few minutes, but just to give you guys a little bit of background about what we're doing, ILA is in the process of updating our strategic plan. So some of you may know that I am a relatively new executive director. I think I have 8 days left that I can still claim to be new because my first day was 11/14/17. So during the search for ILA's next executive director, it came up that our strategic plan dated back to 2011. So there was nothing necessarily wrong with the plan, but that's a pretty long horizon to be working with the same plan. It needed a new look. It needed to refresh. The environments in which we all work are changing all the time. So a plan can't really be a static thing the way it may have been a number of years ago. So to that end, the executive through kind of, and I feel a pretty What? I thought I heard a
We're
question.
having a hard time hearing you. a little bit.
Okay,
It's
let's see.
breaking up
Is that
a
any
bit.
better? Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to
Yes.
not speak so quickly and I'll speak into the microphone. So our executive board has been undergoing a pretty comprehensive process starting in June 2018. There was an initial board survey for what kinds of things the board wanted to get out of this, followed by a wider member and non-member survey in July, strategic planning sessions with our board and with our committees and forums at the ILA orientation in Bloomington in July. In September, the board voted on a current outcomes I'll share in a moment. That was shared at the ILA annual conference, but I know not everybody could be there. Also in October, the board is going to be voting on 10 priorities that we want to ask folks about. And here's where we get to the part where, oh, I'm sorry, I'm still breaking up. I don't know what to do about that. I am using my computer microphone. It's still bad?
You're good right now, Diane.
Good right now. Okay, I'll just kind of move the computer close to me. My face will get scarily close to the camera, but hopefully we'll be switching to, oh, it's the internet connection. Okay, got it. So this brings me to our next phase of this, which is really bringing the plan, the proposed plan elements, out to a wider audience across the state. So to that end, we have got a series of focus groups planned, and I'd really like to thank Heartland for making so many of your locations accessible to us for this. We're going to be starting in Carbondale on November 19th. I'm sorry, we have an online open session on November 19th from 12 o'clock to 1:30. And you guys don't have to write all this down. I can email all this out. It's all on the ILA website. I'll show you documents where this all is in a moment. I'm just kind of giving an overview verbally first. On November 26th, we have another online session that's intended primarily for members of the ALA Ethnic Caucuses. On November 28th, we are starting our first in-person session that will take place at the Heartland location in Carbondale in the morning from 9 to 10:30. That'll be followed by an afternoon. Oh, thank you so much, Julia. That'll be followed in the afternoon by one in Edwardsville, Heartland location there, from 3 o'clock to 4:30. On the morning of November 29th, also in Edwardsville, there'll be an opportunity to have coffee with the ILA Executive Board, if that sounds appealing to anyone, get to know your board members, and followed by a strategic planning session from 10 to 11:30. On our way back from there, we've added recently a session the following morning from 8:30 to 10 o'clock at Heartland's location in Champaign. So I think Julia just shared the link with you all where these things are all listed. It looked like it was an ILA website link. Let me see if I can peek at the chat. Yep, it is. I'm going to attempt to share my screen now and show you guys some of these, some of this stuff a little bit ahead of time. So let's see, come on. I have a dual screen, so let's see if it shares both sides of it.
Doing something because it froze here. Yeah. Now it goes. Oh, there it goes. There it is.
All right, are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes.
It should say Illinois Library Association Strategic Plan. This is the plan that is currently in place and has been in place since 2011. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. You can all look at it at your leisure. As you can see, the mission is a little bit lengthy. The goals are not that detailed. The vision is much more detailed, a little bit below. So in general, you'll see there at the bottom, it was approved by the ILA board in 2011. So a lot of this stuff remains evergreen, But what we're looking at now is something pretty different. So let me find that document. This is what's in progress now. Are you guys all seeing a document that says ILA Strategic Plan in progress?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So in strategic planning, your vision is what you wish to be, your mission is what you're going to do, and your desired outcomes are kind of fleshed out vision, what you think that vision is going to look like. These are all just proposed at this point. I can email this out to you. It's not posted online yet, but it was shared in paper copy at annual conference. It'll be shared with the focus groups as well. And this is really what has come out of all of the surveying and discussing that we've done from June until now. So you'll see that the vision and mission are much more succinct. We have the proposed desired outcomes. This would just be the first layer of a plan. The next sort of layer would be really outlining a tactical plan. This is the top level strategy, a tactical plan, and that's where we would have a lot more of the details that you see in the current plan under the vision. So I'm not going to necessarily seek input about these things now, but if you have input on these things, if you have strong feelings about these things, or even if you have mild feelings about these things, I hope you guys will consider RSVPing if you haven't already for one of our upcoming focus groups. So I've read out the list of the focus groups, and Julia has sent the link, which is super helpful, so thank you for that. Here is the web page that lists them all. We want to hear from you. Reserve your spot today. There's a full list of them there. And we have an online registration link for that, linked from our homepage. And that looks like this here. It's just pretty basic. First name, where you're from, the type of organization you're in, what city or town, and which one you want to attend. So you'll see under type of organization, we're really trying to reach out to all kinds of groups that quote unquote touch libraries. We're not just interested in current ILA members now. We want to hear from people who aren't ILA members. Why not? What would attract you to doing it? Of course we want to hear from our members because we exist for our members. We want to hear from our partners, from our associations. If you're system staff, we want to hear from you too. If you're a vendor and you may be sponsoring or not sponsoring some of the things we do, we want to hear from you too. So we're really trying to reach out to a broad range of types of folks. We're trying to reach out geographically across the state, and we're really trying to get as broad a base of input as we can so that we can create a plan that addresses everyone's needs. That's pretty much our strategic planning process and goals in a nutshell. I can talk a little bit about our target publication date for this plan. The idea is that we will conduct this series of focus groups through sort of mid-December, take January for our strategic planning consultant and I to sort of synthesize the results of all of that. The ILA Executive Board will ideally vote on this plan at their February meeting in 2019, and we'll have it launched, published, and ready in order to start informing ILA budget and programmatic planning for the 2019-20 year and going forward. So for those of you who've been engaged in strategic planning processes before, you may know that strategic planning horizons have kind of shrunk. Everything seems to be happening more quickly than it used to, doesn't it? So you used to work on a plan for a year or 18 months, and you would have that plan in place for 5 or 10 years. Nowadays, you work on a plan for 6 to 9 months, and the plan is sort of in effect for about 3 years. Some elements of it you hope will remain evergreen, such as they're a little bit evergreen, a little bit longer term, and your core mission shouldn't be switching every 3 years. But the tactics and the goals and the envisioned outcomes you have might get updated as we start to realize some of these things. So that is ILA's strategic planning process in a nutshell. Do you guys have any questions for me at this point? I'll put that back up in case that's helpful at all. Ellen, is there anything else you want me to address or talk about?
No, Diane, but just be assured that we're going to work really hard on this end to encourage people
Thank you.
to participate, because This is a great opportunity for people in our part of the state to really speak up about what ILA can do for us. And so we appreciate you coming down and doing this.
I'm so glad to hear that. And it's funny, you know, I know ILA has a reputation that we're only for publics, or we're only for the collar counties, we're only from the northern part of the state. That does not, you know, I like to say that's not true, but I know that a lot of our initiatives and events do happen, you know, kind of the northern part of the state. It was interesting, our immediate past president, Melissa Gardner, actually did a little Google map and pinned all of ILA's institutional memberships on it. And they were pretty evenly spread across the state, which I was really gratified to see. So we really, really want to be involved statewide. We really, really want input statewide. And we really, really thank you guys for helping us out with this and being such an integral part of our membership.
Thanks, Diane. And we'll see you this month.
Yes, sounds good. Thanks,
okay,
everybody.
Thanks, Diane. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So again, we will push those dates out as very much as we can, and we'll remind you and remind you and remind you again to do that, because it is a really good opportunity for us. And next on our agenda is the patient person I see in the upper right-hand corner of the screen I'm looking at, and that's Leslie Zavaduk. And Leslie's going to talk about e-resources that are at the tips of our fingers.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see your faces. So I'm just going to kind of give a brief rundown of some of the e-resources that are available to IHLS members in case you've forgotten. A couple things that have changed with a few of them. And just so you know what's available to you and how you can get involved with what's available to you if you so choose. And then I think Cassie's got a couple of new things that she's looking into that she's also going to mention when I'm all done. So right now we have two big group purchases that we facilitate through IHLS. The first one is RB Digital, which Cassie already mentioned earlier. RB Digital used to be Zinio and One Click Digital. They were both owned by Recorded Books, but you had to go to two separate websites to use them, and you had to use two separate apps. We had access to both through our group purchase of Zinio. But in the last 2 years, they've totally streamlined it and put it so that everything is in one app. So I'm just going to share my screen real quick and go back to that RB Digital homepage just so you can kind of see it. All right, so can you see the RB Digital home screen? So now this is the web app, so it doesn't look quite the same as like the app would on your device. But in our RB Digital collection right now, we have just over 7,000 e-audiobooks. We have subscriptions to 64 popular magazines. Those subscriptions, we get back issues as well. So anything that we've subscribed to for several years, if you were to click on one of these magazines like The Economist and you wanted to read an issue from 2 years ago, as long as we subscribed to it 2 years ago, you can read the issue, it's available. And then RB Digital also has a very small, right now, core collection of classic ebooks. So if you are a library who always wanted to participate in our Zinio group, which was the e-magazines, or wanted more e-audiobooks for your patrons through One Click Digital, but it was too expensive for you, I urge you just to shoot me an email and I can get you a new quote, because after Recorded Books restructured and created this whole new app with RB Digital and Zinio in it, they also redid our fee structure. So it's actually quite a bit cheaper for most of our libraries. So if you got a quote a long time ago and you said, there's no way my library could pay for this, just shoot me an email and I can send you a new quote, and it's quite possible that it would be less now for you to join our group. The only other thing to really know about RB Digital is also with that, what we did last year when they merged the apps and they sort of restructured the fees for us, is that currently our group has public libraries, academic libraries, and even one special library. We have a hospital library in our group now. So it's also open to any library in IHLS, except for schools right now. We're working on that. We used to have a separate collection for schools, but we didn't have enough interest to keep it going. And now that they've merged, in the next year, we're going to kind of try to see if there's a way we might be able to do that again or offer that again. So that's a little bit about RB Digital. And if you have any questions, you know, I'll ask at the end too, but you can put them in chat too if you want. The other big group purchase that we do right now as far as an e-resource is the cloud library. That's currently only available to share members, but I just want to point out that even if you're not a share member, you still have access to a collection like the cloud library, because the cloud library was started with the eRead Illinois grant several years ago. So even if you're not a share member, you would be able to use the other half of eRead Illinois, which is called Access 360. And you can always email me if you have questions about that, and I can get you in contact with the people who manage that, because that branch of the grant project that we had many years ago now, it feels like, is actually managed by Rails. So right now our cloud library collection has over 42,000 owned items in it. In this past year, we also added what is called a pay-per-use e-audio collection. So patrons of libraries that participate in our cloud library collection actually have access to over 60,000 items. I don't like calling it pay-per-use because then you think like, oh, my patron has to pay like $2 to check out a book. But that's not actually true because it's a group purchase. We're taking that money out of shared funds. Your patrons don't pay anything when they check out a book. Your library's not billed for it. It just comes out of your annual member fee that you pay. Also with the cloud library, I can send your library a quote at any time. So if you've never joined and you're still interested in joining, just shoot me an email and I can get you a quote. And for both RB Digital and the cloud library, libraries can sign up anytime throughout the year. We usually actually start your participation on the first of the month, just because it's easier for billing and for usually the back end at Recorded Books and Biblioteca to kind of get everything implemented for you. But at any time throughout the year, you can email me, and if you want to get started, we'll get you started, and you only pay a prorated amount. So you won't pay for the whole year that first year if you start later in the year. And then there's just a couple other things I wanted to mention that started out as group purchases for IHLS members, but have really kind of become more group discounts. One of those is Wowbrary. So Wowbrary is a service that creates like an email newsletter for you. It can pull things from Polaris to show in the newsletter as far as new books, things that are happening at your library. It can pull events from your event calendar and send them out. That's something that we have available for IHLS members. I can't remember what the discount is. I think it might be like 20% off list price. That's one that you can sign up for any time. We just don't consider it a group purchase anymore because Wowbrary handles everything. They bill you, they'll get you your discount, and they'll get you all set up. So you can always contact me for the information, and I can get it to you. And then I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Leslie?
Yes?
Holly is asking, is there any hope of getting People magazine? Several of her patrons have asked us this question.
Yes, Holly is referring to RB Digital. Recorded Books does not have the rights to People. Every year they think that they're gonna be able to renegotiate a contract and get them. They are closer than they were 2 years ago because I believe they get the People, what they call bookazines. And those are like special seasonal magazines that are extra big. So like People might put out like a Christmas edition. That's all about what celebrities are doing at Christmas. Those we aren't subscribed to right now. We could add them to the collection at any time, but they are a little bit of expensive. And it would, at this point, for this year anyways, it would have to be a library decided that they wanted to add it and share it with everyone else. But it's something I know that they're always working on, but I think that People right now has exclusive rights with Flipster, and that's why we don't have it. So I always ask every year when we renew, and they always say, oh, we're really close. And then when I get the list, I see if it's on there, and so far it has not been, but that doesn't mean that it won't be. And then there were just two other things I wanted to mention really quickly. We also get group discounts for databases through Gale and EBSCO. Those, I don't really have anything to show you on the screen because really we only do that once a year. So all of our e-resources run on the system's fiscal year from July 1st to June 30th. So usually in spring, around April, you'll start seeing emails from me on the director's list and the announce list about if you've never used EBSCO databases and you want to be a part of our group purchase, this is what you can do. If you're interested in our Gale Pick 10 group discount, this is what you can do. This is the website you can go to. I'm happy to answer questions about them throughout the rest of the year. It's just those two vendors. It's typically only during renewal time that we can add new libraries. So are there any other questions? Oh, and Julia put the Wowberry stuff on the chat, which is great. And if you're still thinking of them, feel free to put them in chat. And then I'm going to hand it over to Cassie because I know she was going to talk about a couple of things she's been looking into, I think, right?
Thank you, Leslie. Did anybody have any questions for her before I? Okay, so some of the new e-resources that we've been working on, one of them you may have seen earlier this year was tutor.com. And so we weren't able to do a group purchase with that company. It just wasn't supported by our membership. But if you are interested, they have offered us a vendor discount, so you'll see it on our vendor discounts page. If you're a current customer of tutor.com, it might be worth looking at that to see if you could get a better price through our our vendor discount for membership. One of the other organizations that we have been in discussion with is the New York Times. That's a recent conversation for a group purchase, but we need to gauge interest from our members. And so we want to see if anybody would be interested in having a daily subscription. They have two different systems. One is the Easy Proxy system, which you're all probably familiar with. They actually have something that's maybe a little bit easier. That's where it's an access code system. So your patrons would sign up for an account with the New York Times. They would get an access code for a 3-day access, and so they would be able to go in every single day that they needed a new code, and it's unlimited, and it does not go through the ILS to authenticate. So it's really for any and everybody, and so it is based off of service population. So if we do a group purchase, it's of course much less expensive, but we would need the membership support to be able to do that. And so again, I'm just gauging interest to see if members if that would be a product that they would want for their patrons. And so maybe send me your feedback. It will be in the next share newsletter. We'll probably send out a survey link for the IHLS newsletter. So anytime you can send me interest in different programs like that, it's very helpful as we're trying to negotiate some of these deals. And then the last thing is, one of the things that we have been looking at through the SHARE program is having a book club program. So we have kits for book clubs. And so there's a product that I have been working with a company called Kit Keeper. One of the limitations for the ILS is that you can place items on hold, but you can't schedule them. And so for book clubs, that can be problematic, because if you know that you need that book for your January book club, then you have to just hope that you're going to get them all in time. So it would be so lovely if we actually had kits like we were talking about, the American Girl doll kits, that they come in, Tupperware boxes that they can go throughout the system, and that it could be scheduled. And so there are other consortiums that have worked with this company and have had success. So it's a program that I'd really like to get started with SHARE, and I would love to have other people help me develop this program through committees to select titles and to really develop how it works. And of course, the libraries themselves to actually purchase the kits and have them stored at their library when they're not out and being used. So the good thing about that program is that the kits are not just book clubs. It could be American Girl dolls, it could be STEM kits, it could be Legos, it could be anything, and we're not restricted on that. And so that's something that, again, I'm really hopeful that we'll be able to implement with the SHARE program specifically. Okay.
Any questions for Cassandra on that? That's pretty exciting. I mean, that's a really neat initiative. The last thing we have on the agenda, just as a point of thought, is our annual member day was held on September 27th at the Thelma Keller Conference Center in Effingham. We had a record number of attendees. We had about 155, I think, when we finally counted everybody. And if anybody was there, if anybody has some feedback, Stacy Bashong was the project manager on that. System staff of all stripes worked on that day in all kinds of different capacities. So if there's anything you'd like to share as we plan for next year, we'd love to hear it. Anybody?
Well, I was there. I had a great time. What I liked the most is I got people with faces with names.
Yep.
And that's what I like the most.
Good, good. Any other input from people on the screen? Julia, you getting anything?
I'm not seeing anything come across.
Okay. Any announcements that anybody has to share about anything going on at your libraries? Anything wonderful, any big changes?
We're getting renovations this week.
Okay, this is Rebecca Harper from the SIUE Learning Resources Center. They're renovating the facility.
Oh my gosh.
Very exciting.
That's good.
I don't know if anybody from the Rochester Public Library is here today, but I did hear that Rochester's putting up a referendum today to do a major expansion. So please keep your fingers crossed for them.
We were wondering about that. We couldn't remember if it was now or in the spring, so that's good. And I know, and that's something else to watch because Rochester has been working with every library too on that. And yeah, you're right, fingers crossed.
Hayner Library recently was given the Elijah Lovejoy printing press. That was, Elijah Lovejoy was an abolitionist who was killed in 1837, and he was one of the first martyrs for the First Amendment. And his press was thrown in the river, destroyed and thrown in the river by a mob, and they pulled it out of the river in 1915, and it was sent to the Telegraph, where it's been on display. The Telegraph recently was bought out by Hearst Communications, and they moved buildings, and they called our library and asked us if we would like to have the printing press that was pulled out of the river. So we had a dedication for it Sunday. We had over 100 people come.
Nice.
So if you're in Alton and you're in the Genealogy and Local History Library, come and take a look at it. It's pretty amazing. So.
Cool.
Millstadt this year has purchased ground to build a new library.
Oh, wow.
That's all we have. We have ground. But you got to start somewhere. And we're a very small town, so if any piece of ground becomes available, big enough, somebody jumps on it. And this time Millstadt Library jumped on it.
Good.
So we have ground and sewer. Nothing on top, but just.
It's a start.
You got to start somewhere.
So it's shovel ready.
Shovel ready, yeah. So we might come visit some of your libraries to see what you got.
That's exciting.
Field trip.
Anybody else? Julia, anything coming in?
No.
Okay. Well, then we can close this meeting by thanking you all for participating and just put a little marker on your calendar that we decided to play it smart this year and avoid December and January for this type of meeting. So our next meeting is going to be February 4th, and it'll be at the State Library. And when we did one last year at the State Library, it was a lot of fun because they got out all their toys and their bells and whistles, and we saw their robot, and we saw all kinds of other things. So weather permitting, we're looking forward to February 4th at the State Library. So again, thank you all. If you have any questions, just touch base with any of us who shared with you today, and we'll be happy to follow up with you. Bye-bye.